What have you done to this?
I tried something new.
Saffron and tarragon, you always wrap them in sage leaves. Where's the sage?
The tarragon's fresh, and it wouldn't hurt you to try it.
This is a most unpleasant shock, Fritz. It may possibly be edible, but I'm in no humor to risk it. Remove it, please. Bring me 4 coddled eggs and a piece of rye toast.
He's going to punish me by eating eggs.
Well, I'm off. I am having dinner with a dream girl, appropriately named Dawn.
Dawn? Please, Archie, spare me the rest of the lurid details.
I'll get it. I think you got the wrong house, kid.
Don't Nero Wolfe live here?
Yeah, but he doesn't give autographs.
I got a case for him.
What's your name, kid?
Drossus. Pete Drossus.
Come on in, Pete. This is Pete Drossos.
Are you mad, Archie? In the dining room, I am about to have dinner.
Eggs aren't dinner. I mean, he wants to consult you about a case. In the meantime, if you'll excuse me, I really have to run.
Not so fast, Mr. Goodwin. Take Huckleberry Finn with you.
Wait a minute, Nero. I could have gone to the cops, but I came to you.
And by what tortuous route did you arrive at that choice?
He means, why didn't you go to the cops?
Oh, 'cause they would have laughed at me, and I figured you wouldn't. And they wouldn't have listened to me, and I figured you would.
Well, of course we'll listen. Although, truthfully, the timing is rather unfortunate in light of Mr. Goodwin's plans for the evening. But duty supersedes pleasure. Is that not right, Archie?
He means, let's have it, Pete.
Okay, I work the corner of 6th to 7th and Park. Probably seen me there.
That's highly unlikely.
Mr. Wolfe is not what you would call a traveling man. He never goes out.
You're kidding.
Young man, just what is it you do on the corner of 67th Street and Park Avenue?
I work the white bracket. What that is when a car stops for a light, I go out there and wipe the windshield with a rag. It's good for 2 bits, sometimes $1.
And is there much demand for that service?
Well, most of the time all you get's dirty looks. Anyways, a couple of hours ago, this great foreign job pulls up. 2 people. A guy sitting in front, streak of white in his hair, and this dynamite fox behind the wheel.
Fox?
You know, a woman?
No. Yes, of course.
Well, she got this scratch down her face and these kind of weird earrings like gold spiders. And she's just moving her lips so the guy won't hear. And she's saying, scared like, help police. Then the light changes and that's all, folks. Except for this.
Connecticut, YQ9432. License number?
What else?
Satisfactory.
Well, is it a deal? Are we partners?
Partners? Partners in what?
Come on, a big car like that, a dame in big trouble, gotta be big money around. Like a reward, right?
A reward? Yes, that's a reasonable conclusion.
Hey, what time is it? Holy Maloney, my mom will have a fit. I'll catch you tomorrow, Nero. You can start on the case without me.
Yes, thank you, Peter.
Well, Dawn awaits.
Now, Archie, tomorrow see the boy. Get an exact description of the woman in the car. Meanwhile, check out the license number tonight.
You're not going through with this.
But didn't you hear there's a lady in distress?
Look, the only reason I brought the kid in was because you were giving Fritz a bad time. He's probably conning you.
We mustn't demean my partner's information simply because he wipes windshields for a living, Archie. Now, you call your lady and make apologies. There will always be another dawn.
Yeah, thanks, a quarter. Look, I wouldn't want you to go without dinner.
Will he live?
It's touch and go.
The driver?
6 witnesses. Male, light complexion, regular features, anywhere from 20 to 40. Wearing a hat, one of those fancy Italian jobs.
Well, it's fairly clear when the boy was run down. He could identify the people in the car. I think what we will
You have a
to...
visitor. She's waiting in the front room.
Can't you see we're busy, Fritz?
She said to tell you she's the boy's mother.
Taylor let me ride in the ambulance. He couldn't talk too good. I had to listen real hard. His voice was so small, so weak. He said, "Tell Nero Wolfe to find out who got me." He said to give you this. I'd better get back to the hospital. Maybe. You understand?
I do indeed, Mrs. Drosos.
Thank you.
$12.35.
That's a lot of windshields.
Mr. Wolfe?
Close? This is his house?
He ran an ad in the personal columns of the Times this morning about a woman in a car.
Wearing spider earrings with a scratch on her cheek. Come in. Mr. Wolfe's up in the plant.
Yes, Archie, what is it?
This is the lady that came in answer to the ad, Laura Fromm.
Laura Fromm. So it was you who drove the gray foreign car on Tuesday?
Yes.
And it was you who asked the boy to call the police?
Yes, but there was no need to. It was all a misunderstanding. That's what I came to tell you.
I see. And are you now out of danger, Miss Fromm?
Yes. But I want to thank the boy. Would you give him this, please?
Well, the spider earrings certainly match the boy's description.
Well, of course. Why shouldn't they? I mean, I told you I was driving the car.
Archie, would you be good enough to examine the scratch on Miss Rome's cheek?
Sorry? Done with a small pointed instrument, possibly a needle, but more like a small pair of scissors.
Uh-huh. When?
Yesterday, maybe. More like this morning.
But certainly not on Tuesday.
Not a chance.
Yes, just as I thought. Miss Rome, you are a fraud.
I don't know what you mean.
Why did you come here pretending to be someone you are not?
I don't have to answer your questions. I'll find the boy, and I'll thank him myself.
Miss Frome! The car you say you were driving on Tuesday ran him down in the street yesterday. You can find him in the intensive care unit at Brookview Memorial Hospital. Now, Miss Frome, do you still insist you were driving the car on Tuesday?
No.
Then why did you come here?
I have to find something out first. I'll come back tomorrow. I'll tell you. I'll tell you everything, I swear. Could you not tell the police, please? Not yet.
If you mean to come back tomorrow.
I promise. Thank you.
I think we may have seen the last of Laura Frome. Who identified Miss Frome?
Her fiancé, Michael Doran, an attorney, and Jean Esty, her secretary at the Association for Displaced Persons, Laura Fromm's pet charity. They help refugees into the country.
Did Miss Frome leave a note before she fell from the balcony?
No note.
Yeah. Presenting us with a distinct possibility that she was pushed.
So where do we start?
I suggest your first call should be on the person most vitally affected by Laura Frome's death.
Her fiancé.
Exactly. Michael Doran.
I didn't know Laura as well as I might have, even though we were engaged. She kept things to herself. I don't know why she decided to do what she did. Does anyone ever know why people take their own lives?
There's a strong possibility that Miss Fromm didn't take her own life.
You suggesting it was not suicide?
Nero Wolfe thinks she was pushed.
There's no evidence, is there?
Not yet. Unless you have something to contribute, Mr. Doran.
You don't think I had anything to do with it?
When it happened, where were you?
At home. I had some personal matters to take care of.
Anyone see you?
If I had needed an alibi, I would have had one, Mr. Goodwin. But to answer your question, no one saw me.
Did Miss Fromm own a pair of gold earrings in the shape of spiders?
Yes, she had them made at Boudet's on East 58th Street. Why? Is it important?
Could be. Anyway, thanks for your help.
Mr. Goodwin, you'll probably hear sooner or later. Laura kept putting off our marriage, and she wouldn't tell me why. We had a quarrel about it yesterday, but I didn't kill her.
Good afternoon, Inspector Kramer. What can we do for you?
Now, why'd you put that ad in the personal column?
Oh, we had a little extra money. You know how it is.
Can we skip the soft shoe? Listen, I know Laura Fromm came to see you, Wolf. You know we're dealing with 2 murders. If the Dross's boy doesn't pull through, we're talking about 3. Now, I want to know what you know.
2 murders?
Who besides Laura Frome?
You ever hear of a man called Matthew Birch?
Never. Why?
His body was found in Van Cortlandt Park this morning.
What has that to do with the matter at hand?
He was run over by the same car that hit the Drossos boy. The lad found a piece of Birch's jacket snagged on the undercarriage.
Where did you find the car?
It was abandoned uptown 186th Street. Stolen.
Did Birch by any chance have a streak of white in his hair?
How did you know that?
The boy described him.
Who was he?
Immigration and Naturalization Service. He was a field worker.
Yeah, well, what was his connection with Laura Fromm?
They both work with refugees. She's head of the Association for Displaced Persons. Now, about the ad. Was Laura Fromm driving that car? Is that why she came here?
No. The woman we're looking for is still out there somewhere, and presumably in grave danger.
Who is she?
If we knew that, we'd also know who killed Laura Fromm and Matthew Birch. We'll find her.
Wolfe. I'll find her.
Have you ever noticed how he gets out of a chair? He uses his legs, just his legs, never his arms or his hands.
He does it deliberately, just to make you mad.
Yes. Archie, both victims were connected with Laura Fromm's charity. Coincidence? Not likely. It's probable, therefore, that the answer is to be found at the Association for Displaced Persons.
You want me to start digging up their garden?
A sudden thought occurs to me. I want you to call on the people who work for the association and tell them all the same story.
Must be one hell of a story.
It is. It's despicable.
Arrangements. Good morning, Albert Logan's funeral arrangements. There seems to be some confusion about the flower instructions. Only Miss Fromm's secretary can clear it up.
I'll tell Miss Esty you're here, sir. This way, please. If you'll just wait here, sir.
I'm sorry, I just didn't expect.
Are you Miss Jean Esty?
Yes, I'm Jean Esty. Who are you? Peckham said something about flowers?
Well, it was just a charade to get me in.
Yes, I know. Since it was decided not to have flowers at the funeral. All right. Now that you're here, what do you want?
I'm Archie Goodwin. I work for Nero Wolfe.
Inspector Kramer warned me you'd probably show up. He's asked me to relay any conversation I might have with you or your boss.
Are you supposed to be telling me this?
No. But it's been 24 hours since Miss Fromm was killed, and the police haven't a single clue. So I might as well go along with Nero Wolfe.
Well, now that's going to be a bit awkward. So I'll be blunt. I didn't come here as Nero Wolfe's messenger boy. I'm on my own. I'd like to make you an offer.
I don't date morticians.
Miss Esty, when Laura Fromm came to see Nero Wolfe, I was there.
I know that.
Do you also know that I have total recall?
Congratulations.
Now, I could recite everything that was said word for word for $5,000 in cash. Now, naturally, I don't expect you to have that lying around in an old pair of pantyhose, so this afternoon would be fine. But I do have to insist on being paid in advance.
This is really wild. Why would I be interested in what Laura told Nero Wolfe?
Look, I would be a fool to come here and stick my neck out if all I had to offer was a stale bag of popcorn.
You're wearing the wrong outfit, you know that? You really should have rented black fur with a big stripe down the back and a big bushy tail.
Pussycat?
Mr. Goodwin, take your disgusting offer and get out of here.
Yes, ma'am.
What about her cheek? Any sign of a scratch?
If there was, it would have healed by now. Or she's great with makeup. I'm on my way to the association. I have an appointment with the executive director, Angela Bell.
I suggest you change your clothes first.
Well, you know, I kind of hate to. So far, the reaction's been great.
Yes.
Mr. Goodwin is here.
He works for Nero Wolfe, a private investigator.
Huh? What does he want? Did he say?
Something to do with Laura's death.
Did she hire Nero Wolfe? Did she know what was going on?
I think we are about to find out. Send Mr. Goodwin in. I only have a few minutes, Mr. Goodwin.
Nice place. Must make all those downtrodden refugees feel right at home.
The building is owned by the Fromm family. We don't pay rent.
Sorry.
Just what is it you're selling?
Memories.
Of course, you want the $5,000 in advance.
That's the only way I can do it.
Here, right. On payment to me by Angela Bell of $5,000 in cash, I will relate to her promptly and in full the conversation that took place between Nero Wolfe and Laura Fromm last Friday afternoon. Date it and sign it.
And then what?
Then I'll give it back to you when you've kept your end of the arrangement.
Now, really, darling, if I were that big a sap, how long do you think I would have lasted as Nero Wolfe's right-hand man?
If you really want to know what I think, hotshot, I think it's a setup. Now, I don't mind Mr. Wolfe's playing this little trick on me for God knows what purpose. If you go back and tell him I resent being taken for a fool. Mr. Goodwin is leaving. I'll be with Paul Kessler the rest of the afternoon. Hold my calls.
What do you think, Angela?
Don't worry, Paul. We'll handle Mr. Goodwin.
Needless to say, I'm delighted you saved me a trip to the morgue, Archie. You know how I hate going out.
Well, far be it from me to upset your routine.
Oh, really? How did you manage to avoid that fate?
My trusty burglar alarm.
Oh, yes. You place that between the hood and the body, and then when somebody comes along and opens the hood...
When I get back, the match is gone.
Ah.
I used a piece of wire to hit the ignition. So who are we looking for?
There's still a missing part to the mosaic, Archie. The woman who drove the car on Tuesday. The woman wearing the golden earrings who asked Peter Drossos to call the police. Find her, and we'll have all the answers. You will come down immediately, Archie. I want to talk to you.
I was on my way to see the PR guy from the association, Barry Green.
Mr. Green is here. Archie, this is a serious matter. Did you at any time in the past 24 hours promise anyone that for $5,000 you'd reveal everything you knew about a meeting between Miss Laura Fromm and myself?
I did not.
Now, you see, sir.
And of course you believe him.
Well, I've known Mr. Goodwin rather longer than I've known you, sir. He refuses to say who made the shocking accusation.
Naturally.
It was someone whose word I respect. May I smoke?
You may not.
It was Angela Bell. And furthermore, Mr. Wolfe, she thinks that you put him up to it.
That is absolute nonsense.
I wonder how the police would react if they knew that you were interfering in a murder investigation.
By all means, let's find out, shall we? Archie, get Inspector Kramer on the phone for Mr. Green.
Now, let's not go overboard. Fact of the matter is, I have a proposition for you.
All right, Archie.
Now, I'm prepared to pay $5,000 for the transcript of your conversation with Laura Fromm.
Mr. Green, a moment ago, you were ready to accuse us of obstructing police work. And now you are asking us to enter into a conspiracy. I prefer not to deal with a man capable of such an ethical somersault. So my answer is an emphatic no. Mr. Goodwin will see you out. Good day.
Yes, doctor.
I'm Dr. Moore. Is the Drossum's boy still in ICU?
Yes, he is.
They want me to see if he needs another brain scan tomorrow. I'll just look in on him.
Yes, of course, doctor.
Strike two.
Come in, Mr. Kramer.
Well, I guess congratulations are in order, Mr. Wolfe. Switching those hospital rooms really paid off.
It seemed reasonable to expect that someone would try to silence the boy. He is, after all, the only witness.
You identify the phony doctor? Who was he?
You know, I really wish I brought the answer to this one in a pink ribbon, because it's a real shocker.
If you're going to tell us that he was not our murderer, I've just explained that to Mr. Goodwin.
Come on, you called the department. There's a leak.
The phone has not been off the hook, I assure you, sir.
Then how did you know that?
The man who tried to blow up Mr. Goodwin because he was getting too close to the truth was a professional. The impersonation of a doctor, again, clearly the act of a professional.
So?
Consider, on the other hand, the man we have been after. He runs a boy down in broad daylight before witnesses. He pushes Laura Fromm off a balcony where he might have been seen. And he runs down Matthew Birch with a stolen car, which could have been stopped by the police. The acts of an amateur, Mr. Kramer. The man we're after is a novice in the art of murder.
Okay. The man last night, his name is Joseph Moore. He's a hitman from L.A. He just got into New York 2 days ago.
So, it would appear that the person who hired him, our murderer, is still very much among the living.
Yes, and that brings me to the real reason that I'm here. I'm going to put this to you very plainly, Mr. Wolfe.
Please do, sir.
This case is bigger than you think. The government is in it now, and they don't want our little homicides messing up their ball game. So you lay back. Don't you and Goodwin go tramping around like a couple of bull elephants looking for a peanut. Clear?
You'll hardly know we're alive, sir.
Keep it that way.
Archie, did you see it? Did you see how he got up? He did it again.
Yeah, and that elephant stuff, that was deliberate, too.
Yes, he's a very aggravating man. Archie, if the government is showing this sudden interest, there has to be something going on inside the association. You have contacts at immigration. Sniff around.
My pleasure. I want to put some mileage on my new car anyway.
He just drove away.
Immigration's drawing pictures on a blank wall.
In English, please.
They're not talking.
Your contacts never fail to impress me, Archie.
My mother taught me that gratuitous shots are definitely not high class, especially in front of an audience.
Nonsense. Theodore is family.
Thank you, sir.
Certainly.
One of my contacts didn't so much talk as drop a hint. She said some refugees need help. Some have to pay for it.
Yes. Well, if I were to hazard a guess, Archie, I'd say our friends at the association are involved in a vile scheme to smuggle the riprap of the world into this country. The murderers, the terrorists, the fascists, for exorbitant fees.
Charming.
As we need an investigator who can pick out the threads of this conspiracy. By now, your face is too well known.
How about Saul Panzer if he's not working on a case?
Yes. If ever a man looked as though he had a relative in need of a country, it's Saul Panzer.
I'm right next to Taggart's Cafe on 9th Avenue. I got a lead on a guy who palled around with Matthew Birch, Frank Egan. Well, he used to beat carpets for the heavies in the waterfront. Now, I'm supposed to meet him in a few minutes. He thinks my name's Burns.
I'm on my way, Saul. Now, when you see me park across the street, go on in and make your contact.
Now, you're sure you can get my uncle into the country?
I told you that was the deal. You pay enough, they'll get Hitler in. Passport, visa, birth certificate, all Class A material. Just so they see the color of your money.
It's green. Where are we supposed to meet these people?
I'll take you. Let's go.
Frank? Is he clean?
He's not carrying. Clean, I don't know. Take a look at his wallet. You got an uncle waiting across the ocean, and your name is Burns. That's what you said in the bar?
No. No, my name is Saul Panzer. I use the name Burns because, well, come on, fellas, you don't show all your cards, right? I mean, we're doing something illegal here. We're breaking the law.
Breaking the law? Who's breaking the law? Frank, you breaking the law?
We don't know what law you're talking about. All we do is help people in trouble with the immigration department. Ain't that right, Martin?
Look, I didn't level with you guys, but I do have this uncle, and he needs help bad.
You want to know something? I think you need help bad.
Go for it. Saul, get the guns. Well, what have we got here? Addresses, phone numbers? Must be 1,000 names in here.
We got a lot of friends.
German names, Spanish names, Greek names. Looks like the UN directory. You get this little black book from Matthew Birch? Who got it from the Association of Displaced Persons?
I'll ask the questions from here on in, Goodwin. Lay back, I said, and I knew what Wolf's answer to that was going to be, so I've had you tailed ever since. Thank you.
Satisfactory, Archie. But all Mr. Kramer has is 2 bent-nose types who were working for Matthew Birch. They might help the government's case, but we're still looking for a murderer. I still have another plan, though. I'll explain it to you in the morning. It's even more despicable than the last one. Good night.
Just why are we having lunch, Mr. Goodwin?
Okay, I'll level with you, Jean. May I call you Jean?
Can I stop you?
Nero Wolfe would like your friends at the association to come to his home this evening.
Are they being invited as suspects?
Oh, heavens, no. I mean, if they thought that, some of them might simply disappear. They respect you. They know how close you were to Laura. Kind of a last request from their employer. Put it in those terms.
You know, you're almost as irresistible as you think you are. But I'll really be doing it for Laura.
To begin with, ladies and gentlemen, a confession. I have brought you here under false pretenses. One of you is a murderer. Now, if any one of you is now thinking of a sudden escape, somewhat more than half of the night shift of the 18th Police Precinct are at this moment taking their positions around this house.
Mr. Wolfe, I don't like being used as a Judas goat, leading lambs to the slaughter.
Far from being lambs, Miss Hefty. Most of the people in this room are cheats, frauds, and extortionists.
Those are serious accusations.
Of course, I meant them to be. I'm accusing you, Mr. Green. You, Miss Bell, and you, Mr. Kessler, of running a contemptible scheme to smuggle the trash of 5 continents into this country for personal gain.
Are you also saying that we're guilty of murder?
That is possibly the only criminal act of which you are not guilty.
That leaves only me.
Yes, Mr. Doran.
Accusing me of 2 murders and the attempted murder of the boy? You're saying I killed Laura?
I don't recall saying that, sir.
I'm the only man left in the room. The implication is clear.
Do you subscribe to the convention that murderer is a word which may describe only a man?
But I understood. I mean, it was a man who ran the boy down. He was seen.
Yes, I know. And the answer kept eluding me. We were looking for 2 people. A woman wearing spider earrings, and the man who ran the Dross's boy down. In broad daylight, mind you, at a busy intersection in full view of witnesses. Almost as though the driver was indifferent at being seen by witnesses, or deliberately wanted to be seen. Leading me finally to the only possible conclusion: those two people were one and the same.
A woman dressed as a man?
A woman with her hair tucked into a hat, wearing a man's suit, shirt, and tie without lipstick or makeup, could easily have been mistaken for a young man with a pale complexion.
Are you saying that I killed them?
Yes, Miss Esty, that's exactly what I'm saying. You were the woman in the car with Matthew Birch. You were his accomplice in a blackmail scheme. These three smuggled refugees into the country for a fee. But you went one step further. You extorted large sums of money from them. If they resisted, their names would be turned into Mr. Birch's superior, meaning imprisonment or deportation.
There's not a shred of truth in that.
You are the woman Peter Drosos will identify when he recovers. You tried to run him down, and when that failed, you hired a professional assassin.
You have no proof.
Proof? My operatives will find all the proof they need, madam. They will find the man's jacket you bought, the shirt and tie, even the hat, which is sure to contain a strand or two of your hair.
Why would I ask the boy for help in the first place? To call the police of all people?
The mic.
if a perfect murder was built on the foundation of a harmless lie? A terrified singer plans a simple deception to win her freedom from a cruel patron. But in the shadows of Blackwood Manor, a killer sees their chance, turning her clever trick into a perfect murder. Now, with everyone a suspect and every alibi built on a lie, a question arises: who heeded her enough to silence her song? Or who loved her secrets enough to kill to protect them?
Chapter 1. An Invitation to Blackwood Manor. It is a curious facet of human nature, I have often observed, that an unexpected summons can inspire both a thrill of excitement and a deep-seated sense of unease. Such was the case with the letter that arrived at my modest London flat on a dreary Tuesday morning in late October. The envelope was of a heavy, cream-colored stock, the sort of stationery that speaks of old money and established tradition. The postmark was from some unpronounceable hamlet in the Scottish Highlands, and the address was written in a spidery, assertive hand that I vaguely recognized. Inside, the message was brief, almost unnervingly so. My dear Captain Hastings, I find myself in need of a man of sound judgment and steady nerve. Your name came to mind. I should be most grateful if you would join me for a small weekend party at Blackwood Manor beginning this Friday. The matter is of some delicacy. A car will meet the 4:15 train from King's Cross at Invergarry Station. Yours, etc., Sir Alistair Finch. Sir Alistair Finch. I had to rack my brains for a moment. I knew the name, of course. Who in England did not? Finch Industries had built half the ships that plied the Empire's trade routes. He was a titan of industry, a man spoken of in the same hushed, respectful tones as Rockefeller or Carnegie, though he had in recent years retreated entirely from public life, becoming something of a myth. I had been introduced to him once, a fleeting handshake at the Carlton Club years ago. He had been a formidable figure then, with eyes like chips of granite and a presence that seemed to fill the room. Why on earth would such a man summon me? The phrase steady nerve sent a familiar tingle down my spine. It was the sort of language that my dear friend Hercule Poirot would appreciate. Indeed, my first instinct was to show him the letter. But Poirot was away, engaged in some trifling matter of state importance in Geneva, and was not due back for a fortnight. He would, I knew, scold me for my impulsiveness, for rushing headfirst into a situation without due consideration. Ah, my dear Hastings, you have the heart of a romantic and the mind of a charging bull. It is a dangerous combination. And yet, the prospect was too tempting. A weekend in a Scottish manor, a mysterious, delicate matter, and the company of the great Sir Alistair Finch. It was precisely the sort of adventure I had been craving, to lift the oppressive gloom of the London autumn. I packed my bags that very afternoon. The journey north was as grim as the London weather I had left behind. The train rattled through a landscape that grew progressively wilder and more desolate. The gentle, rolling hills of England gave way to the stark, brooding mountains of Scotland, their peaks shrouded in a persistent mist. Rain lashed against the window of my compartment, blurring the view of endless brown bracken and dark, forbidding lochs. It was a landscape that seemed to hold its secrets close. By the time the train wheezed into the tiny windswept station of Invergary, dusk was already falling. A biting wind swept along the platform, and I was glad of my thick tweed coat. A solitary car, a grand and gleaming Rolls-Royce that looked entirely out of place in such rustic surroundings, was waiting. The chauffeur, a silent, grim-faced man named MacLeod, took my bags without a word and held the door open. The drive to Blackwood Manor took the best part of an hour along a narrow, winding road that climbed ever higher into the hills. The house, when it finally appeared, was a silhouette against the bruised purple sky. It was a vast, Gothic pile of granite, all turrets and gables, a fortress built to withstand the ravages of time and the even harsher Scottish weather. Lights gleamed from a few downstairs windows, but the rest of the edifice was dark, its stone walls seeming to absorb the last of the day's light. As we crunched up the gravel drive, I confess my initial excitement was tempered by a growing sense of foreboding. The place did not feel welcoming. It felt like a prison. A stern-looking butler with an air of profound disapproval ushered me into a cavernous great hall. A magnificent fire roared in a fireplace large enough to roast an ox, but its warmth did little to dispel the chill that seemed to emanate from the very stones of the house. Dark tapestries depicting grim hunting scenes lined the walls, and the heads of various unfortunate stags gazed down with glassy-eyed indifference. "Captain Hastings," the butler announced, his voice echoing in the rafters. From a high-backed armchair near the fire, a figure rose slowly. I had prepared myself for the formidable man I remembered, but Sir Alistair Finch was much changed. He was stooped and frail, his once powerful frame now gaunt beneath a velvet smoking jacket. Yet his eyes, when they met mine, were as sharp and piercing as ever. "Hastings, good of you to come," he said, his voice a dry rasp. He gestured with a skeletal hand towards the others assembled in the room. "Allow me to introduce my fellow inmates." It was a strange choice of words, and it hung in the air as he made the introductions. First was his wife, Lady Beatrice Finch. She was a generation younger than her husband, a statuesque beauty with hair the color of spun gold and eyes the shade of a summer sky. But her beauty was marred by a palpable tension, her fingers constantly toying with the pearls at her throat. She seemed less a wife and more a beautiful, caged bird. Next was Julian Finch, Sir Alistair's nephew, and, I presumed, his heir. He was handsome in a slick, predatory way, with dark, restless eyes and a smile that seemed permanently affixed to his face. He shook my hand with a grip that was a little too firm, a little too eager. "A pleasure, Captain," he said. "Always good to have a new face. Things can get a little repetitive here." He cast a sideways glance at his uncle, a glance that held a clear note of impatience. Standing slightly apart from the family was a severe-looking man in his late 40s, introduced as Dr. Arbuthnot, Sir Alistair's personal physician. He gave me a curt nod, his expression unreadable behind thick spectacles. He had the air of a man who guarded his patient jealously. In a shadowed corner, almost blending into the dark wood paneling, was a quiet, mousy woman named Eleanor Vance. She was, Sir Alistair explained with a dismissive wave, Lady Beatrice's companion. She murmured a greeting, her eyes darting away as soon as they met mine. She seemed to be a creature of the shadows, content to be overlooked. But the final guest was the most surprising of all, he said, a strange, almost feverish light in his eyes. And our guest of honor, Miss Genevieve Croft. The name, of course, was legendary. Genevieve Croft, the English nightingale, was the most celebrated soprano of her generation. Her voice was said to be a thing of divine beauty, capable of moving men to tears. I had seen her perform once at Covent Garden and had been utterly captivated. But the woman who now turned to acknowledge me was not the radiant diva I remembered from the stage. She was painfully thin, her face pale and drawn. Her large, dark eyes were filled with a profound and unmistakable fear. She looked less like a guest of honor and more like a sacrificial lamb. What on earth was she doing here, in this grim, isolated house, surrounded by this strained and unhappy assembly? The tension in the room was as thick and suffocating as the peat smoke from the fire. Dinner was a stilted, uncomfortable affair, served in a dining room that could seat 50 but felt crowded with just the 7 of us. The conversation was forced, punctuated by long, awkward silences. Julian attempted to engage me in talk of stocks and shares, while Lady Beatrice asked polite but mean.
Chapter 2. A Song Unsung. The silence in the music room was absolute. It was a weighted, expectant silence, heavier than any sound. Outside, the storm threw itself against the granite walls of the manor with the fury of a living beast, the wind shrieking through the eaves like a chorus of damned souls. But within that room, the storm was forgotten. Every atom of attention was focused upon the small, pale figure of Genevieve Croft as she stood beside the polished black bulk of the grand piano. Her accompanist, a nervous young man who had been imported for the occasion and had barely spoken a word all evening, sat with his fingers poised over the keys. He glanced at her, awaiting his cue. Miss Croft took a small, steadying breath. She placed one hand upon the piano's edge as if for support, and with the other she lifted a glass of water that had been placed there for her. She took a delicate, bird-like sip, her throat moving as she swallowed. Then she set the glass down with a faint click that sounded like a gunshot in the stillness. She closed her eyes for a moment, a painter preparing her canvas. We all leaned forward, a captive audience held in thrall, not by the promise of her talent, but by the raw, palpable terror that radiated from her. Sir Alister's eyes burned with a proprietary fire, his frail body rigid with anticipation. He was a collector, about to behold his most priceless acquisition perform its singular, wondrous trick. Miss Croft opened her mouth. The accompanist's fingers descended, and the first gentle notes of a Schubert lieder bloomed in the air. The sound was beautiful, pure, a fragile island of harmony in a sea of tension. For that one fleeting second, I believed the dreadful premonition that had gripped me was nothing more than my own foolish fancy. But the famous golden voice never came. From Genevieve Croft's throat there issued not a note of music, but a dreadful, strangled gasp. It was a sound of shock and utter confusion, a sound that clawed at the air. Her eyes flew open, wide and staring, not at us, but at some unseen internal horror. Her hand flew to her neck, her fingers clawing at the delicate skin as if to pluck out some invisible obstruction. The accompanists playing faltered, collapsing into a discordant clatter of keys. She took a stumbling step forward, away from the piano, her body lurching with a convulsive shudder. A terrible, guttural noise escaped her lips. Her face, as already pale, took on a dreadful bluish tinge around the mouth. She was like a marionette whose strings had been abruptly severed. She swayed for a moment, her gaze sweeping across our horrified faces with a look of frantic, uncomprehending appeal. Then, with a final sighing exhalation of breath, she collapsed.
She fell not gracefully, but with the dead weight of finality, her fine silk gown crumpling around her on the rich Persian rug. For a heartbeat, no one moved. We were frozen, an audience to a tragedy far more real than any opera. Then Lady Beatrice screamed. It was a sharp, piercing shriek of pure hysteria that shattered the spell. The room erupted into chaos. Julian Finch was the first to react, leaping from his chair. "Good God!" he exclaimed, rushing towards the fallen singer. Dr. Arbuthnot moved with a swift, professional urgency that belied his earlier stiffness. "Stay back, all of you," he commanded, his voice a sharp crack of authority. He pushed past Julian and kneeled beside Miss Croft's still form. I stood up, my own heart hammering against my ribs. Sir Alistair had not moved. He remained in his chair, his body as rigid as stone, his face a mask of disbelief that was rapidly curdling into a terrifying cold fury. His masterpiece had been shattered before his very eyes. Eleanor Vance, I noted, with a strange sense of detachment, had risen and gone to Lady Beatrice, who was now sobbing uncontrollably. Miss Vance's face was, as ever, a placid and unreadable blank. Dr. Arbuthnot's hands were methodical and sure. He felt for a pulse at the singer's neck, then at her wrist. He gently tilted her head back, trying to listen for any sign of breath. The seconds stretched into an eternity, marked only by the howling of the wind and Lady Beatrice's muffled sobs. Finally, the doctor looked up. His face was grim, his expression devoid of any hope. "He's gone," he said, his voice flat and heavy. "There is nothing I can do. She is dead." Dead. The word landed in the room with the finality of a coffin lid closing. The English nightingale, whose voice had enchanted thousands, was dead on the floor of a Scottish music room. A seizure? Her heart? She looked so fragile, the stress of it all. Julian asked, his voice strained. "It's possible," Arbuthnot conceded, his eyes still fixed on the body. "A sudden cardiac arrest, brought on by extreme anxiety, is not out of the question." Sir Alistair finally found his voice. It was a low, venomous hiss. "Anxiety? Nonsense! The woman was a performer. She lived for this. Someone has done this. Someone has robbed me." His accusation was general, yet it felt intensely personal, as if each of us was being individually condemned. Dr. Arbuthnot ignored him. He continued his examination, his brow furrowed in concentration. He gently touched the singer's face, noting the pronounced cyanosis around her lips. His gaze then traveled from the body to the piano and to the small, elegant glass of water that had been placed there for her. He rose slowly and walked over to it, peering at it, but not touching it. He bent closer, sniffing cautiously at the rim. When he straightened up, the expression on his face had changed. The professional mask had slipped, replaced by one of profound gravity and alarm. "No," he said, his voice low and firm, resonating through the shocked silence. This was no heart attack. He turned to face us, his eyes meeting each of ours in turn. "I have seen this before, in toxicology studies. The rapidity of the collapse, the cyanosis, the faint odor. I would stake my professional reputation on it." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle upon us. Miss Croft was poisoned. Poison! The word transformed the atmosphere in an instant. The lingering shock of a tragic death gave way to the cold, creeping horror of a deliberate act. Murder. One of us, in this very room, was a killer. The wind rattling the windows no longer sounded like a simple storm. It sounded like a cage being locked. "Poison," Lady Beatrice whispered, her sobs catching in her throat. But how?" Dr. Arbuthnot pointed a single steady finger towards the piano. "The water," he said. "She took a sip just before she was to sing. It would have had to have been a fast-acting poison, prussic acid, or one of the cyanide salts, perhaps, almost instantaneous in its effect." My mind, trained by years of association with Poirot, began to race. The glass of water. It had been sitting there on the piano. Who had put it there? Who had had access to it? I tried to replay the last hour in my memory. The butler had brought in a tray with a carafe of water and a single glass before we entered the room. It had been placed on a small side table. I remember seeing Miss Croft herself pour the water just as we were all taking our seats. But that meant nothing. The poison could have been in the carafe, or it could have been introduced into the glass at any point before she drank from it. And we had all been in the room. "The telephone," I said suddenly, the practical thought cutting through my shock. "And how do you propose we do that, Captain? The storm took out the lines an hour ago. McLeod tried to call the village about a fallen tree on the main road just before dinner. The line was quite dead." We were trapped by the storm, miles from the nearest village, with a murderer in our midst and the body of their victim cooling on the floor. "Then no one is to leave this room," Sir Alister commanded, his voice regaining some of his old authority. He was no longer the enraged collector. He was the master of his fortress, a fortress that had been breached from within. Dr. Arbuthnot nodded his agreement. He is right. The glass, the carafe, everything must be left precisely as it is. We stood there, a small, isolated knot of humanity, staring at one another with a new and dreadful suspicion. Every polite smile, every casual word from earlier in the evening now seemed like a potential lie, a mask for a murderous heart. Julian's impatience, Lady Beatrice's anxiety, Eleanor's silence, the doctor's severity, Sir Alister's obsession, all were now cast in a sinister new light. Who hated Genevieve Croft enough to kill her? Or was her death merely a means to another more terrible end? The storm raged on, its fury unabated, a perfect symphony for the fear and mistrust that had taken root inside Blackwood Manor. I looked at the body of the woman whose song would never be heard again, and then at the faces of the living, and a profound sense of inadequacy washed over me. I felt like a schoolboy presented with an impossible problem in trigonometry. "Oh, Poirot, my friend," I thought with a desperation that was almost a prayer. "Where are you now? You, with your magnificent moustaches and your little grey cells, you would know what to do."
Chapter 3. An Unexpected Guest. The hours that followed the discovery of the murder were the longest of my life. A dreadful, waking nightmare unfolded in the grand, cold rooms of Blackwood Manor. By mutual, unspoken consent, no one retired to their bedrooms. The idea of being alone, separated from the group in the shadowed hallways of that vast and silent house, was an unbearable thought. To sleep was to be vulnerable. Dr. Arbuthnot had supervised the grim task of covering Miss Croft's body with a velvet curtain pulled from one of the windows. He then firmly locked the music-room door and pocketed the key, declaring that nothing further was to be done until the police could arrive. With that, the small, terrified group of us retreated to the great hall, the scene of our strained introductions what felt like a lifetime ago. The fire had been built up into a roaring blaze, but we huddled near it for a reason that had little to do with the cold. We sought not warmth, but light against the encroaching darkness, both outside the windows and within our own hearts. The night was a tableau of suspicion. We sat in a rough circle, our faces illuminated by the flickering firelight, each of us studying the others, searching for the slightest crack in a carefully constructed facade. Every sigh, every nervous twitch, every averted gaze was magnified into a potential sign of guilt. Lady Beatrice, her earlier hysteria subsided into a state of shocked exhaustion, sat huddled in a large armchair, her face pale and tear-streaked. Eleanor Vance was beside her, a quiet, calming presence, though her own stillness seemed more watchful than comforting. Julian Finch paced restlessly before the hearth, a glass of brandy in his hand. His charming mask entirely gone, replaced by a raw, naked agitation. He looked like a caged animal. Was it fear or frustration? Sir Alistair remained in his high-backed chair, a grim, immovable patriarch. He had not spoken another word since ordering the room sealed. He simply stared into the flames, his expression one of thwarted rage. His breathing was shallow, and once or twice Dr. Arbuthnot went to his side, murmuring something in a low voice, only to be waved away with an impatient skeletal hand. The doctor himself maintained his professional composure, but his eyes, behind the thick lenses of his spectacles, were constantly moving, observing us all. I found myself cataloguing details, a habit ingrained in me by my association with Poirot. The glass of water on the piano. Miss Croft had poured her herself from the carafe. The butler had placed the tray on a side table before any of us entered the music room. But between that moment and her drinking from it, there was a period of perhaps 15 or 10 minutes as we all found our seats and settled. The room was not brightly lit. Anyone might have approached the piano, unnoticed, on the pretext of admiring the instrument. Anyone could have possessed a small vial, a packet of crystals. Anyone. The storm began to abate in the small hours of the morning, its furious shrieking subsiding into a mournful, sobbing wind. As gray, watery daylight finally seeped through the tall, mullioned windows, it revealed a scene of devastation. The lawns were littered with fallen branches, and the landscape was shrouded in a thick, spectral mist. It was a world washed clean, yet the atmosphere inside the house remained thick with the grime of the previous night's events. MacLeod, the grim-faced chauffeur, entered the hall at 7 o'clock, his expression even more dour than usual. "The road is impassable, sir," he announced, his Scottish burr thick. "There is a great oak down about a mile from the gates, and beyond that the burn has overflowed its banks. It has caused a landslide. No one will be getting in or out of here today." "And the telephone line?" Julian demanded. "Still dead, sir. Looks to have been brought down by the tree." The confirmation of our imprisonment sent a fresh wave of despair through the room. We were utterly alone with our deadly secret. It was shortly after 10 o'clock when we heard it. At first, it was a faint, unfamiliar noise, a low, grinding sound that seemed to come from the direction of the rear of the estate. It grew steadily louder, the unmistakable chug of a motor engine where no engine should be. We all fell silent, listening. "What in God's name is that?" Julian muttered, moving to the window. "It cannot be the police," Dr. Arbuthnot stated. "It is impossible." We watched as a small, battered motor car, a local taxi by the looks of it, bounced and jostled its way up the long, winding service track that was typically used by delivery carts. It navigated the muddy, rutted path with extraordinary care, finally coming to a halt near the kitchens. The driver's door opened, and a stout local man in tweed got out. But it was the figure who emerged from the passenger side that caused me to gasp aloud. He was a man of no more than 5 feet 4 inches, his body egg-shaped, his head tilted slightly to one side. He wore a heavy green-lined overcoat, and a thick muffler was wrapped around his neck. Despite the perilous journey, his black patent leather shoes were, I noted, with an inward smile, still remarkably shiny, though a small speck of mud on the left toe was clearly causing him immense personal distress. He paid the driver, then picked up a small, elegant valise and began to march with as much dignity as he could muster towards the main house. His magnificent, upward-curled mustaches were a proud banner proclaiming his identity to the world. "Poirot!" I cried, a wave of such profound relief that I felt momentarily weak at the knees. "It's Hercule Poirot!" I rushed to the great doors and threw them open just as he was ascending the final step. "Hastings, my dear friend!" he exclaimed, his face, which had been a mask of displeasure at the state of the path, lighting up with genuine warmth. "What a happy chance to find you here!" "Chance, Poirot? What on earth are you doing here?" "Ah, that is a question of some complexity. The journey, it was, how you say, formidable. The train, it was draughty. The weather, it is an abomination to civilized man. And the final leg of the journey, do not speak of it. This driver, he knew of a road used only by the goats, and I suspect the madmen." He stopped and surveyed the assembled company in the hall, his sharp green eyes taking in every detail of the 10th scene. "It would appear," he said softly, "that I have arrived in a house of sorrow." "Sorrow does not cover it, Poirot," I said, lowering my voice. "There's been a murder." Poirot's eyes widened, but he showed no other sign of surprise. He simply nodded slowly, as if confirming a private hypothesis. "Alors," he murmured, "so I am not too early. I am perhaps too late." At this, Sir Alistair, who had been observing the scene with a strange, calculating expression, spoke for the first time that morning. "You are Hercule Poirot?" he rasped. Poirot turned and gave a small, precise bow. "I am, Sir Alistair?" "You did not expect you until tomorrow," Sir Alistair said. It was not a question, but a statement of fact. This, then, was the explanation. My head swam with it, the delicate matter, the need for a man of steady nerve. It had not been for me at all. Sir Alistair had been summoning the greatest detective in Europe. My presence was merely to be a smokescreen, a familiar, unassuming face to prevent the other guests from taking alarm at the arrival of a stranger. My business in Geneva, it concluded with a rapidity that was most gratifying. I sent a telegram, but I imagine, given the circumstances of this storm, it was not received. I decided to press on. I received your letter, Sir Alistair, and I confess it piqued my interest. He withdrew a familiar cream-colored envelope from his breast pocket. You spoke of a priceless jewel, a treasure of unique quality that you feared was in danger. You wrote, "I have acquired the rarest voice in the world, and I fear someone means to silence it." He paused, his gaze sweeping over the shocked faces of the others. "The treasure," Poirot said softly, his voice full of a sudden deep pity, "was not a thing of stone or metal, was it? It was a woman. It was the voice of Genevieve Croft." "And you are too late," Sir Alistair hissed, his eyes burned.